Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Ram, the local morning edition host and senior producer for WABE. You are watching the Runoff Forum for Sandy Springs City Council District 4, organized by Rough Draft Atlanta. I'm joined by Kathy Cobbs, who is managing editor for Rough Draft's print papers, which includes the Sandy Springs Reporter, and Delaney Tarr, a journalist with Supporter Report. Welcome to both of you. We will get started with each candidate taking 30 seconds to introduce themselves. You will see the timer on the screen letting you know how much time you have remaining. So welcome both of you. I'll begin with Frank Roberts. 30 seconds. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Frank Roberts. Most of you already know that my campaign is about public safety, protected neighborhoods, and from intrusive development and economic vitality. Now, the runoff election is about integrity, accountability, and transparency. I do what I say, I show up and tell the truth, and I stand by my word. I answer to the people of Sandy Springs, not insiders or outsiders, not any special interest groups or political associations. I believe the community deserves clear, honest information from its leaders, not surprises, no hidden agendas.
Mr. Roberts, thank you so much. Michelle Sullivan, you have 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Michelle Sullivan, and I'm a native of Georgia, living in Sandy Springs. I'm a business owner for 22 years that has been serving and protecting families and children. I believe my skills and experience gives me the expertise to serve on the city council to help with the growth that's coming to Sandy Springs and the cultural diversity that's here in Sandy Springs.
Thank you both. Welcome to you both. We'll now go to our journalist panel who will ask questions that both of you will answer. We begin with Kathy. Kathy, ask your first question.
Thank you. Your district includes several very well-traveled and often congested roadways, including Abernathy and Roswell Road, where gridlock seems to occur every day at rush hour. I've been sitting at that intersection for up to 20 minutes waiting to turn left. And I know my frustration is mirrored by thousands of others. Are there any plans that you have to continue to try to alleviate traffic woes there and on the other busy corridors in District 4?
Michelle, you begin, and you each have 60 seconds to answer this question. Michelle?
Well, I think to keep Sandy Springs moving, that first we probably need to refer to the traffic study. And based off the traffic study, implement those things that have been suggested by the traffic study, which the traffic study normally covers the infrastructure, the congestion, the safety, and traffic management. I think the traffic study will help us be able to communicate effectively, excuse me, with the residents and provide solutions that will reduce congestion and keep the pedestrians safe.
Thank you. Frank?
Well, as everybody knows, I get stuck in that same situation. We both know that traffic flows from west to east and east to west, in and out of Cobb County. The intersection you refer to is a real problem because of the timing on the lights. The traffic management department of the city of Sandy Springs are able to change the timing on those lights, but they got to have somebody there that's actually looking at it to say, yeah, we need to change the timing on it because it's backed up to Glen Ridge. So that intersection is a problem, and so is Johnson's Ferry in Roswell and Mount Vernon in Roswell. Of course, the construction there has caused a real problem for traffic, but that's still east-west flow of traffic in and out of Cobb County. Hammond Drive is fixing to be under construction, probably early next year. That'll be another problem. But the intersection she's referring to is the timing on the lights that would definitely help.
Thank you so much. Delaney, you have the next question. Ask Mr. Roberts first.
Thank you both for being here. Now, Mr. Roberts first and Ms. Sullivan. Within your district, what character areas do you see are ripe for redevelopment into diverse and multi-use housing options, and why?
Housing options is a problem in Sandy Springs because of the price of property, for one. There's a lot of places that the apartment complexes could be redeveloped. into more affordable and attainable housing. It's just recognizing which ones are there. The developers of these housing projects are there to make money. So they're going to make money one way or the other. And affordable housing is becoming more and more non-existent in Sandy Springs, and that needs to change. Probably a zoning variance of some sort, maybe an incentive for developers to set aside certain areas for affordable housing. That's just something that I'll work on if I become elected to this seat.
Thank you very much. Michelle, you have 60 seconds.
Well, I'm an advocate for housing that meets the needs of all residents while supporting developments that align with what the community needs. I believe intentional planning that protects the character of our neighborhood while supporting developments that I'm sorry, these are my notes. Look, I got my points over here. I believe in intentional planning will protect the character of our neighborhood. Smart community-focused growth ensures that everyone has the opportunity to live and thrive in Sandy Springs. Strong partnerships, shared resources, county government, private sector, and nonprofit organizations such as the Council for Quality Growth can help us with resources and guidance to attainable housing and revitalization and development. We can expand attainable housing options to all residents, including our workforce, who can continue to call Sandy Springs home.
Kathy Combs, you have the next question for the candidates.
Speaking of traffic, the 400 Express Lane project is about to begin starting in 2026 with a projected completion date of 2031. How will the city and you specifically plan to shield these abutting neighborhoods from the chaos that will surely ensue with a complicated construction process such as this?
Mr. Roberts, we'll begin with you, 60 seconds.
But again, you know, this is a DOT project. The city has already handled some of that before when 400 was expanding. And now North Green, which Ms. Sullivan should be aware of, that was a development that occurred when they expanded 400. And the city attempted at that time to have the barrier there to cut down on the noise and all the equipment that was going on to expand everything. And again, they're already clear cutting all that area now to expand the roadway. So it's going to be an ongoing project that'll take up most of 2026 and 27, probably even 28. So it's going to be a long, ongoing process. And the city will do everything it can to help the residents of those areas with noise and the construction and everything else that's there that will come.
Thank you. Michelle, you have 60 seconds to respond.
Well, I think like what I originally said, going back to the traffic study, implementing the traffic study, but additionally communicating with the neighborhood, maybe perhaps adjusting those loud noises to peak hours that are at night over the weekend, having signage, giving the neighbors communication about detour routes that are for the residents and maybe detour routes that are for non-residents could possibly help. But I think it just comes down to communication and communicating with the neighbors to see exactly where the problems are and coming up with the solution to help them. And even perhaps using the police citizens to help with navigating the traffic during those peak times could also be assistance with the traffic congestion.
Thank you very much. Help me here. It's Delaney's turn, correct? Delaney, you have the
Yes,
next
it
question.
is.
Yes, okay.
Yes, and I do have a question for the both of you. Now, there has been controversy over the city's open records requests, ultimately leading to a lawsuit filed by local Appen Media Group. Now, as a council member, what would you do to ensure transparency among both the government and residents moving forward?
Mr. Roberts, we'll begin with you, 60 seconds.
Okay, transparency it can go two different ways. The police department has to have transparency in their record keeping. But in criminal activity, that's really not what you want. I know what she's referring to is the reporting system of Sandy Springs. The police officer who goes to the scene is writing a minimal report, as he should. The follow-up investigation is done by the detectives. That's an in detail report, which should be available for the reporters to report on. The initial officer is the contact person, first on the scene. The investigator is the follow-up. So that's where your transparency comes from. If you want more transparency, talk to the investigators, not the one on the scene. Does that make sense? No, it does to me, because as a police officer, we used to do detailed reports and they went away once the investigator got involved.
Thank you very much. Michelle Sullivan, 60 seconds.
I think with the lawsuit, transparency comes from producing all documents at the time that are requested. And if the documents are not available, I think that should be communicated and letting them know when the document is available and that the document will be sent over to help with being transparent about the investigation or the crime or the case. Open communication and dialect will help people understand and know that the city is functioning to give that image of transparency. And I do understand maybe all the reports are not available at that time. However, I think they should follow up and still give those supplemental reports.
Michelle Sullivan, thank you. We go back to Kathy with another question. Kathy?
I'm sure you're both familiar with the next 10. That is a roadmap, I believe, for Sandy Springs' future development. I'm just wondering what areas in your district do you think would be ripe for redeveloping in a way that the next 10 has described?
The question is
We'll
for
begin
who?
with you. Yeah, Mr. Roberts.
Okay. Well, the next 10 is a situation I'm looking forward to as a council person, because it will be the development of a lot of things in Sandy Springs, not only in my district. We do have things in our district that do need to be redeveloped, mostly on the north end of the 4th district, Roswell Road, and probably out around Spalding Drive and Abernathy, and some here on Mount Vernon, the shopping center, the Sandy Springs Plaza. Some of that could be redeveloped to make it more feasible for the people who use that area and more updated, I might say. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the next 10 develops. And of course, we'll be looking at all of it and see what develops from that.
Michelle Sullivan, you have 60 seconds to respond.
I think the next 10 project does address a lot of things in Sandy Springs. One particular thing is with the Embassy Road that is being developed right now in our district. I've heard from some of the residents around there that they are welcoming that development because it will bring growth so that they can have they want to have local coffee shops in that area, because there are businesses that are within that MARTA station that haven't been able to sustain with the current population. So I believe some of the projects with the next 10 are going to help with the growth and the economic growth in our district, and the residents will be able to still have that community neighborhood feel right in their own area.
Delaney, you have the final question for our candidates.
Now, for my final question, I do want you to use your imaginations. If you could create any new role within the city's government, budget notwithstanding, what would it be, and explain why?
Michelle Sullivan, we'll begin with you, 60 seconds.
If I could create a role.
Role, sorry.
A role?
Role, position,
role,
a role.
a position, a role.
Yes.
Oh, if I could create a role, I would create an ambassador role that welcomes new residents to Sandy Springs and show them around Sandy Springs, introduce them to certain parts of Sandy Springs, give them the history of Sandy Springs, make them feel welcome to Sandy Springs. That's what I would do. I'm like a host, to Sandy Springs, letting them know we welcome you. We are accepting you in the Sandy Springs. This is a great place to stay. Why it's a great place to stay, and just becoming familiar with the police, the fire, local businesses, nonprofit organizations in the community. That's what role I would create: an ambassador, a hostess.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roberts, you have 60 seconds.
I agree with a lot of what she said. There needs to be someone here to show new residents what's here and what functions, what doesn't function, and hopefully move on to bigger and better ways of living in Sandy Springs. I moved here for a reason, because I like it. There's a lot of conveniences here. There's the medical staff, the close proximity of City Hall, and a lot of parks and recreation that goes on here, a lot of restaurants. And somebody probably needs to be in charge of showing people what's here and what functions in Sandy Springs.
Thank you both. That's all the time we have for questions. Now, each candidate will now have 60 seconds for a closing statement. Michelle, we will begin with you, followed by Frank for your closing statements.
Well, first of all, I'd like to ask you for your vote. Thank you all who voted for me. I would like for you to vote again. My goal on City Council is to help Sandy Springs embrace the cultural and economic diversity that's coming with the population growth. I think when we function as one city council working for the neighborhood, that's when we will thrive and we will connect with the community.
Mr. Roberts, you have 60 seconds.
Stance has always been for the citizens of Sandy Springs. With very few exceptions, my donors are Sandy Springs residents. Some of my neighbors who have been with me for years, have known me for years. I've knocked on many doors. I've talked to a lot of folks. I'm concerned with every city council. I've attended every city council meeting for the last several months. My career in law enforcement gives me an informed perspective that will serve the city well. The next council will already have business executives, a lawyer, educator, and if elected, I will have a skill that isn't there. As I said before, the future of Sandy Springs is at stake, and every single vote will make a difference. I've been endorsed by 3 city council members, John Paulson, Melissa Mueller, and Timmy Julio, as well as Mayor Paul. A vote for me is a vote for trust, experience, and steady leadership.
Frank Roberts, Michelle Sullivan, thank you so much. That's all the time we have. I want to thank you, the candidates, and the panel for your participation, and Rough Draft Atlanta for organizing this forum. Early voting runs from November 22nd to the 26th, and Election Day is Tuesday, December 2nd. I'm Lisa Ram. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Ram, the local morning edition host and senior producer for WABE. You are watching the Runoff Forum for Sandy Springs City Council District 4, organized by Rough Draft Atlanta. I'm joined by Kathy Cobbs, who is managing editor for Rough Draft's print papers, which includes the Sandy Springs Reporter, and Delaney Tarr, journalist with Supporter Report. Welcome to both of you. We will get started with each candidate taking 30 seconds to introduce themselves. You will see the